Hello, and how's it going? Today is day 82 of my 100-day inspiration challenge. And today I want to talk about why we believe our excuses, because I think that it is so important to realize and intellectually understand why we believe our excuses so that we can, when our excuses come up, we can look at them and we can know exactly what is happening and know why we are believing those things, and then we can choose to not believe those things. So first off, our excuses are the stories that we tell ourselves over and over and over again. They are the beliefs that we have and the thoughts that we think about on repeat. So some examples of those are I'm not good enough, or I don't have the time, or I'm not a leader, or I'm messy, or I wish life were easier, or so many different things. So all of these beliefs, all of these stories that we tell ourselves, these are all excuses. And we all have these different stories that we tell ourselves that hold us back. But the important thing that I want to talk about is why we allow our excuses to hold us back, why we choose to believe our excuses. So I'm actually reading this book, You Are a Badass: How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. And in this book, she talks about becoming aware of what you're gaining from the stories that you're telling. So first thing is becoming aware of the stories or the excuses that you're telling yourself. And then she talks about what you are gaining from those stories. So I think that we don't think about what we're gaining from these stories that we're telling ourselves, especially the negative stories that we're telling ourselves. So it says we pretty much don't ever do anything that we don't benefit from in some way, be it in a healthy way or an unhealthy way. Let's say your story is that you can't make money. A lot of us have that story, right? By being broke, you get to be right. You get to be a victim, which makes you dependent on other people and gets you attention. Other people will offer to pay. That's nice. Love that. You don't have to take responsibility. Love that. You get to give up before you start and avoid possible failure. If things in your life fall far below the mediocre scale, you get to blame other people and circumstances instead of taking risks to change it because you can't afford to take risks. So it's so interesting. We have these excuses, we have these stories that we tell ourselves, and subconsciously, we are gaining things from those stories that we tell ourselves. And those things that we're gaining, they aren't serving us. They don't offer us more value than overcoming those stories. But by believing those stories, we are choosing to put our focus on these things that we're gaining, these things that actually take us away from the actual things that we want. It says we don't realize it, but we're making the perks we get from perpetuating our stories more important than getting the things we really want because it's familiar territory. So first, I want you to think about some of the stories that you tell yourself. And a good way to start thinking about this, if you're like, I have no idea, is what are the things that you constantly say? Like, I'm not good enough. Like I said, I'm not blank, or I wish blank, or I don't blank, or I suck at blank. All of these things that we tell other people, even if it is a joke, that is a story that we are telling ourselves. And by telling ourselves that over and over and over again, we are perpetuating that and we are believing that and letting that be an excuse in our life. And from this, we learn that those excuses, we are gaining something from those excuses. We are gaining something, if your excuse is that you aren't good with money, you're gaining not having to pay for things. That's awesome. You're gaining not having to take responsibility. That's amazing. But what would you rather gain? Would you rather gain these things that lead you feeling unhappy? Or would you rather take control of your life and change that story that you tell yourself and gain the responsibility to be able to pay for things and to be able to be good with money? Because if you are not something, if you are not good at something, or you are not anything, if you are not anything, You can be. If you work hard enough, if you stay persistent, if you stay consistent, you can be good at anything, even changing your thoughts, even focusing on positivity. I spent so much time. I grew up focusing on negative things for the longest time. I just thought that was who I was. I thought that was part of my identity, but it's not. I can change it, just like you can change any part of yourself. It's crazy. Now I truly believe that we can change. It just takes repetition. It takes hard work, and it takes a desire to want to change. It takes consistency. But we can absolutely change every single thing about our lives because we are in control of those things. And those stories that we tell, they give us a little bit of gain, but is it worth it? And does it get you closer to what it is that you actually really want? So think about what the stories are that you tell yourselves. I know a lot of people tell themselves that they don't have time, but the thing is, we all have the same amount of time, right? So what do you get or what do you gain from telling yourself that you don't have time for whatever it is that you want? How is that holding you back? By telling yourself that you don't have time, how is that holding you back? I want you to think about that first, and then we're going to flip it because it's hard to think about what you gain if you're not used to thinking in that way. So first, how is it holding you back? What are you not getting because you're telling yourself that you don't have time for the thing that you want? And now we're going to flip it. And what are you gaining by telling yourself that you don't have time? By telling yourself you don't have time, you are gaining, taking responsibility for your life. You get to say that life is happening to you and that everything in your life is happening and you are just a victim. You are gaining, not taking risks, not taking chances. You are gaining staying safe. You are gaining staying in your comfort zone, and it feels good to be safe. We want to be safe as humans. So you're gaining being comfortable, but you're missing out on the things that you really want. You're missing out on taking risks. You're missing out on taking responsibility for your life. So what is more important? I actually had a coaching call with a friend yesterday, and we talked about some things that he has really wanted, and he has been wanting to create content for 13 years. He has wanted something for 13 years, and he hasn't done it. And I asked him, what would it mean if it took you another 13 years and you still hadn't done this thing that you desire, that is on your heart, because it's on your heart for a reason? What would it mean? What would it feel like if another 13 years went by and you hadn't done this thing? And he said it would be crushing. It would be devastating. Yeah, it would. And so we looked at his excuses. We looked at the stories that he told himself. He has a new baby, and so he said he doesn't have time. And he said that when inspiration hits, he doesn't want to do it. He said that he's tired. All of these different excuses. So he said he doesn't have time. And then I asked him, well, are there any times in the day that realistically you would be able to have 30 minutes to do what you want to do? And he was like, yeah, honestly, really, truly, if we're truly honest with ourselves, we all have time. And if we don't have time, if you don't have 30 minutes for yourself, then you need to change something because you're not living the life you want to live. So you need to make a change so that you can take actions to live the life that you want to live. You're living somebody else's dream if you don't have 30 minutes. I know, because I used to not have 30 minutes for myself. I worked so hard and so long, and I was so miserable, and I truly, truly, truly did not have time. I was getting like 5 hours of sleep, and it was a miserable life. And what happened was I made a change. I took action because I needed to, because I wasn't living a life that I desired. And so if you truly don't have time, then what do you want? What do you want? You need to adjust your life so that you have time to achieve the things that you want. And most of us, we actually do have time. Maybe you have to wake up 30 minutes earlier. Or maybe you have to stay so laser focused so that you're not on your phone for so long. Or maybe after you get done doing a certain task, you kind of dilly-dally before you get into the next task. Maybe you need to put your head down and make a commitment to yourself that after you finish this first task, you are going to propel right into that second thing. If you truly, honestly look at your day, do you have 30 minutes? And so I'm asking you this, but I also asked my friend this yesterday, and he was like, yes. And then I said, great. So when are those windows of time? Because I wanted him to have clarity. I wanted him to get specific and be thinking about this in real life. And so he said, okay, this time and this time, this time and this time. And I said, okay, perfect. So you have said that you have wanted to create this content for 13 years, and you're telling me that you have this time. So when do you think you will be able to create this content when you now that you know that you have this time, now that we have gone over your excuses, we know what is important to you, we know why you want this, when will you have this time? When will you be able to do this by? And he said, I will do this by tonight at this time. And I said, great, send me it when you're done. And you know what? He did. He did it. He did it because finally the benefit of pursuing what was on his heart was more important than the benefit of playing safe and the benefit of not exposing his heart and his goals. It is scary to create content. It is scary to put yourself out there. But if you have something on your heart, that is for a reason. And if you are telling yourself that you don't have time, then for the most part, that's just not true. You can make the time if it is important enough to you. So what is more important, and what are you gaining from the stories that you are telling yourself? First thing first is, what are the stories that you are telling yourself? What are the excuses that you are telling yourself about why you're not achieving whatever goal it is that you want to achieve? Second thing is, what is holding you back? What are you losing by listening to those excuses? So I want you to focus on the negative and then flip it, focus on the positive. What are you gaining by listening to those excuses? You're gaining comfort, you're gaining security, you get to play it safe. You don't have to take responsibility. It's out of your control, right? But that's not true. It is not out of your control. You have the control to make your life better. Small changes, small disciplines. So dig into those excuses, dig into those stories that you tell yourself and change them. Tell yourself the truth, and then tell yourself something that is inspiring, that will inspire you to take action. And think about what it'll look like if you continue to believe these stories 5, 10, 15 years down the road. What is your life going to look like? And then think about what you want your life to look like. Think of all of your dreams, all of your aspirations that you want to achieve in your life. And are your current stories that you are telling yourself right now, are they getting you closer to where you want to be in 15 years? Because time goes by so fast. And sooner or later, it's going to be 5 years later. It's going to be 10 years later. And now is the time to change those stories that you tell yourself so that you can change your actions, so that you can start achieving the things that you want. So keep showing up for yourself regardless of where you are, because if you do, there is nowhere that you can go but up. Show up for yourself even when you don't want to. I don't always want to show up for these videos, but I do because I made a commitment. Thank you so much. If you would like more free resources, you can head over to my website, showuptogoup.com. I'll see you next time.